See, I'm so glad that I've got you there, Caroline. So it's a mutual thing, you know. I'm teaching you macros.
I have so little skills, but the ones I have, I'm happy to share.
Thank you very much for that. So yeah, you know, so what we're doing today, so many times when you go to a workout, they'll have you doing this type of stuff, you know, they'll have you sort of doing sort of like that and that and that and squatting and moving around and all the rest of it to make you feel that you're doing something. And in fact, you know, that slowly and bringing it down like that and up again and bring it down like that is so much better because it keeps the right muscles under tension. And so that's really what we're going to do today. So without further ado, I just wanted to do some explanation on body parts and what training is about. So I like dividing the body into 6 bits. These are the bits that we want to train all the time. The chest, this area. The back, this area. The bum and back of the legs, this bit. The thighs, the abs, the arms and shoulders. Okay, so 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what we're doing. When you very first start, your muscles are not strong enough to do a whole session on one body part. And so when you very first start, we do an all-over body workout. So that each area of your body feels a little bit of pressure, but not so much that you're going to have any real strain, a significant strain, and be aching for days and days, because I want you to be able to keep this up. When you progress a little bit, we will start to do all front body one day, all back body the next. And then when you progress even more, you'll be doing upper body, lower body, and finally you'll get to a point where you'll say, and you hear people saying it, you know, I'm doing back and arms today. You know, I'm doing calves and thighs today. But at the moment, we're going to do full body and we're going to do body parts. So the point of today is very much technique, not to wear you out, and to answer questions as we go along. But once I've shown you this, I want you then to be able to repeat it at least 2 more times. You know, it's up to you when, but I spread it out a little bit. So I would try and do it every other day. I do a Monday and a Wednesday. I do a bit of cardio, so the run or the 7-minute workout on the Tuesday and the Thursday. And then I'd give yourself a couple of days off, probably the Friday and the Sunday, because recovery is just as important as actually exercising the muscle. So in terms of equipment and what we have, I don't know if any of you have dumbbells, but if you have, great. And what I'm going to use today are the 5s and the 10s. So the 10s are for the heavier ones. And why do we use the heavier ones? We use the heavier ones to work the bigger muscles. So we want these muscles are big, these muscles are big. So you want a heavier weight ultimately, not at the moment if you've only just started, but ultimately you're going to want a heavier weight. We don't have, you know, in the normal gym, I'd have barbells, big weights, you'd see me squatting and, you know, deadlifting, can't do that. So we're going to have to make do with the weights that we've got. So I'd use those for big muscles. I'd use 5s for the smaller muscles. So this is where, you know, these muscles here, we're going to use for smaller muscles. But if you've only just started or you have no weights, then we're going to use bottles of water, just as good, as long as you can hold them okay. They're enough to give you a little bit of weight and just a little bit of an idea for the technique. You know, when we're going to do split squats, we can use these, we can use them like that. So that's, you know, hopefully everybody's got these. If you want something a bit heavier, we can use a rucksack, put them in, makes it heavier. We've now got a rucksack or a bag, we can use that to squat. Okay, so that's like just as much as it is a kettlebell. Alternatively, if you have got kettlebells, then fab, because we will use those when we do things like squats like this. Okay, so whatever you've got, we can use today. Bands, let's just go through bands.
Angela?
Yeah?
I've got, they're like wristband, kettlebell wristband things that are a bit weighty. Are they okay to use?
Yeah, these things.
But my 5K weights haven't come yet, so they should
Hands
be
are absolutely fine. Weights are fine. These little ones that you put on your wrists.
Yeah.
You can put these ones ankles like this. You know, if you wanted to just do a bit of weight in your legs. So yeah, that's a good idea. Bands. If anyone's got these, this is another good tool to have, especially if you're going to go, you know, traveling or whatever, when eventually we can, because you can stand on this. I'm just standing on it, and then you can pull it up like that to do biceps, you know, arms and things like that. So that's quite a good one to have. And finally, these little bands are quite good as well. I think the sort of thing that Yap had, where, you know, you can use these, you can put them on your legs, maybe like about here, and they're really good to get on this side of your bum. And you can do all sorts of things with those, so we can use those as well. But I don't want to make it too complicated today, so I'm probably going to just use the hand weights, and you use the bottles or hand weights if you have them. Or don't use anything at all, literally just do the movement with zero weight except for your body weight, because that really, if you've not done any weight training whatsoever, that's probably the best option at this point in time, because really the thing that I want you to leave with today is the concept of the 6 body parts and the concept of using your body weight. And I think what we'll do is we'll go through one circuit exercising each of the body parts, answering questions, and then we'll do that again. And we'll just sort of get through as much as we can before we hit 9 o'clock, bearing in mind it's the first one on sort of answering questions. Regarding the bench, we'll use this a fair bit. If you've got the edge of the sofa, the edge of a coffee table, it's going to be useful. We're doing 3 things on this bench. One is I'll be lying on it when I do chest press. Be lying on it like this. And you can actually do this on the floor as well. So I'll be doing that with the weights like that. I want to show you the importance of arching your back and keeping your legs still. When you do that, so you have a stable base here. The other thing I'll be doing with it is kneeling on it. So imagine this would be a sofa if you haven't got a bench. Leg back. I'm on my left arm and knee, so same side arm. I'll be using the weight and I'll be doing that. And if you think about it, what that's doing, if you use that movement, it's going to hit the back muscle. So that's the back exercise. And finally with this, yeah.
Can I just interject, because I'm on speaker view, and so is someone else that's asking. Every time there's noise in the background, it goes to that person's screen and can't see you. So can everybody mute?
Yeah, everybody, if they mute themselves, that's a great point, yeah. And then if you want to ask a question, just pop in, yeah. Great, all right. So, and then the third thing that I'm going to use this bench for is an exercise on the glutes, bum. So I'm going to lean like this. I'm going to bridge. I'm going to have some weights there, but you don't have to. And I'm just going to bridge and squeeze this muscle as I come up. And that really works the bum. So you're going to be really surprised that some of these movements, you know, are not your typical muscle building movements that you would expect. But I absolutely promise you, they're going to get results. So without further ado, let's start the first exercise. The other thing that we try and do is to exercise the big muscles first, and then we move on to the small muscles. Why do you think that is? Any ideas? Hop in if you want to speak. I will tell you then. So the reason that we're going to exercise the big muscles first is because it's more tiring. You know, if you think about a bigger muscle, it's going to take more energy, isn't it? So by the time you've used, and some of these bigger muscles as well, because they take more energy, it's much more painful ultimately when you're lifting heavy weight. So you want to get that out of the way first of all, because that's probably the most daunting. What you'll see when you're actually in the gym and you're seeing people doing deadlifts and squats, they will do those first. They won't mess about with little weights first of all. They will do the big weights first, because that's the hardest work. Then after they've done that, they will move to the smaller weights, which you know, by comparison, really are very nice and enjoyable to do. And that's when they'll work on all the little muscles around here, around here. These are the much smaller muscles. So that's the order that we do it in. So we're going to start on the leg exercise. And the first leg exercise we're going to do is a split squat. And the reason split squat's so good is it gets this and this and this. It's also a really good all body exercise if you hold weights with it. I'm going to do one set with no weights, just start off to show you the technique. Then I'm going to pick the weights up, then we're going to do 10 either side, and that will count as one set, okay? If you've got a mat or a carpet or something, tread there because it gives you stability. So, you want your feet apart, you want them parallel, like that. Okay, and you're going to slowly, first of all, no weight, you're slowly going to come down, you're on your toe at the back, but your front foot's flat and you're coming up and down like that in a very slow and controlled fashion. If you see, my knee is almost touching the floor. So watch this. It is still and parallel. It's harder to do it with no weight actually. And then you're just going down like that. You've got to keep your body upright. And you're down like that, okay? And then you're up. 1, 2. Before we do a full 10, I just want to show you the different movements. So that's that, and the other side will be the other way. Now, if you're going to use the water bottles, you do it like this. So like that. Down, exactly as I showed you, you've got water bottles. Tiny little bit of weight, but it doesn't matter because it's just giving you the idea. 1, 2, and as you come up, you're squeezing here. 3. So the important thing is to keep upright. It's like you're descending up and down like a lift. And what if you do that properly, that's going to get every single muscle. It's going to feel this one, it's going to feel this one, it's going to feel that one, and that one. And it might look simple, but to do it controlled with weight is, you know, it's a bit of skill. And then if you're going to use weights, and you go to the heavy weights, which will go to the 10s, then you're going to really feel it. So we're going to start now. So choose what you're going to do with weights or not weights. We're going to do 10 either side. Okay, so ready, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're going to be on the other side in a moment. Give yourselves 30 seconds. Any questions about that? You shouldn't really be drinking the water from your weights, but I'm going to.
So if we can't get close to the floor, we're going as far as we can, and I guess over time
Absolutely.
We'll be able to go lower. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Or if you can't, just make sure, the important thing is not to wobble. And if you're too close to if your legs are too close like that, you're still going to wobble. You don't want that. If you're too far out, you can't sort of really get down. So it will be whatever's right for you. You know, it's about hip width apart is what I'd say. And it's like keeping the back up and it's slowly descending. And if you're going to get that far at the moment, really not a problem. This is more about weight bearing. It's about getting to a point where you can feel it in your muscles. Yeah, the more you go down, the more you can feel it. And then you're up slowly. And it's doing it slowly.
So is it better to go without weights and go lower, or
definitely
with weights and?
This is a good question because we're getting onto a subject called progressive overload. You want to get to a point where you can do the exercise for a full 10 reps, perfect technique. So once you can get, with no weight, hip width apart, full control, down and 10. Now, you want to make it harder. And the reason you want to make it harder is as your muscles get stronger and it happens really fast, you want to progressively overload them. That's the concept of progressive overload. Now, you can do it a number of ways, progressive overload. Either you can stay as you are, i.e. no weights, and just do it even slower. Alternatively, you can, instead of doing 10, you can do 12 and 15, but ultimately, you're going to be there forever. So the only way you can then make it harder again is go back to your 10 and put some weight on. So pick up some weights, 2, 4, 6, whatever kgs you fancy, whatever you think, and you start the whole process again until you can do it perfectly now, but with the weights, and then you progressively overload. Eventually, even when we're in a proper gym, we'd have heavier weights than 10s, we'd have squat bar, cross our shoulders with heavier weights, and we'd be doing it like that. But at the moment, we're doing it with these. Okay, so we're going to do the other leg. So exactly the same, but now it's the other leg, and I'll stay this side so you can see what this leg's doing. So if you're ready, we're going to do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's the other leg, as I said. Okay. So you should have done 10 either side, in whichever way you think is, most comfortable for you. But I hope that in some way you felt this muscle. So does anyone not feel it?
I can feel it.
Can feel it, good. Okay. So what I'd normally be doing, see a little board here, just show you this. What I'd normally be doing is logging up what I'm doing and sort of deciding whether I've done 2 or 3, and you can see I've got the back and the quads and the hamstrings and the body parts written there, but we'll come on to that another time. We won't need to do that today. So quite heavy on these. The next thing is we'll do up here, because we'll give the legs a rest. We need to do chest, we want to do back. So remember what I said about, wanting to do the larger muscles first. The other large muscles in our upper body is these ones here. These are really great big muscles called lats. They go all the way down, and that's what gives you that nice sort of V shape if you work it. So one of the best ways to work it is a pull down machine. So you're pulling down, and you're getting these bits here. But unfortunately, we don't have a pull down machine at home, so we're going to try and emulate that. And the way to emulate that is the same if you do that movement. You're still going to pull this muscle, this one. And the reason I'm sort of spending this time getting you to explain is I think so often we go into, well, I certainly did, for years and years, you go into a class, you hammer through it, you do your best, but you never get the physique that you really want. And it's because it's not a targeted and intelligent way of training, which is what I'm trying to communicate here. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do something that impacts this big muscle. And like I say, it's not about wearing yourself out, it's about getting strong and really putting pressure under this muscle. So, we'll get on here. And what I want to do, demonstrate this quite closely. I've got a bottle of water as well to show you if that's what you've got. If you're on a coffee table or some sort of side of a sofa, that's fine. I'll do it with no weight first of all. So knee and arm, same side, you're leaning. Now the important thing is arch your back. If you don't arch your back, you're going to be saying to me tomorrow, you've got lower back pain. And the one thing I would say about lower back pain We all get it. I definitely had it. And we were all very anxious about lower back pain. We've sort of been taught, you know, that we mustn't get lower back pain. Well, you know, in the same way that our legs ache and our arms ache, our lower back, these muscles here ache. You know, it's no different. As long as we're not aching in our spine and it's not our bone, we can allow these to ache, but only if we're using our back in the right way. What we tend to do is compensate by using our back instead of using our glutes and our legs. And so what happens then is that it gets strained because we're doing everything with it. To protect the back, if you arch it, you really arch it. Now, if you have this leg back a bit, and you're arching, now when you pick this weight up, there's nowhere for the weight to go, except for where it's supposed to, which is here. If I do that, and I do that, oh, yeah, okay, I'm on my back. If I do that, yeah, now it's only the lat that I can feel it in. The other thing to tell you with this weight, and even if you're not wearing a weight, holding a weight, you see where my elbow's going, only to there. And when I get to there, I'm squeezing that back muscle as much as I possibly can. So that back muscle is squeezed. If you squeeze a muscle really hard, it shortens. Then you let it go, and you're lengthening it. Then you squeeze it really hard, then you let it go, and you're lengthening it. So your muscle is going like that under pressure. That's how it grows. And that's what we want. You want it to grow. Now the final thing to tell you, so arch back, squeezing the muscle, elbow to there. Now you want that elbow as close as you can. So when you're getting there like that, it's really close to your body. It's not like that, you know, it's there, close to your body. So really, you want it almost grazing your hip. All right?
Angela,
Yeah.
can you ask Ahmed to mute?
To mute.
Because
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
constantly...
Ahmed, can you mute, please? Okay. Can you hear me all right though?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go then. We're going to do 10 on this side, 10 on the other. If you're using water bottles, that's great. You just do, you know, exactly what I'm doing is little weight. If you don't want to use any weight or just little wrist weights, and you just want to get used to the movement, that's also great. I'm interested in you squeezing this muscle, arching your back, having your leg in the right place, and learning this technique. The last thing I want you to do is use a weight until you know exactly that feeling of squeezing. Can you just squeeze it like that? Just pull this arm back and squeeze it. If I was there, I'd be poking you right there. Annabelle knows it's what I do, I poke. Okay, so you squeeze that muscle as hard as you can. And then can you feel it as you squeeze it? So it's this one here, we don't usually use it. But it's not there, it's not there, it's there, it's this one. Okay, and we want to squeeze it.
We still need Ahmed to mute. Ahmed, you must mute your screen because it keeps going to you and we can't see Angela.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Ahmed, are you okay to mute now?
Thank
You
you.
can probably mute him, Angela, by going over his screen and click the 3 dots and it should say mute.
Okay.
Oh, okay, it's done.
Has he done it now?
Yeah, he's muted now.
Thank
He
you.
has, all right.
And may I ask, the leg that's back, are we looking for the foot flat on the floor
Yeah.
and feeling a little
Well,
bit
it's
of
a sort of,
pull?
let me show you. Hopefully you can see my toe
There you
now.
go. Yeah, I couldn't quite see your foot. Thanks.
Yeah. So basically, it's sort of like that. Yeah. So it's up actually a little bit. As long as you're feeling stable enough to be able to do this. All right. So it's not like that. It's like that. It allows you to keep that still. Okay then. So we're going to go. We're going to do 10. We've hopefully got perfect technique, and we're doing it slow and controlled because the only reason to do it, the only reason, is to shorten and lengthen and squeeze that muscle under pressure. So we do 10 of those, and you can really feel the muscle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I can really feel that muscle, and I really hope you can too. And I've done a sort of an exaggeration on the arch of the back because it's so, so important to do that. And now we're going to do the other side. The same again. We'll take this on now. So we can do the other side of the back. In fact, sometimes, I'm actually thinking I've got my foot more flat than on my toe. A little bit on my toe, I'd say, is the answer there. Just so that I feel stable enough to arch my back. And then off we go again. Okay, 1, 2, really squeezing the muscle. It's the only reason to do this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's a real squeeze when you're there so that you can really feel it. Can you feel it? Yeah, good. So you should have felt these here. Now, that's the back. So we've done legs, we've done back. The next biggest muscle is this across here. And men especially want pecs, but so do women. Because women also want that nice sort of toned look across our chest. It actually lifts up your boobs. So great for men and great for women. A really, really good exercise. And the way to do that is a chest press. Now, as I said, you can do this on the floor if you don't have a bench. If you're on the floor, I'm going to quickly show you this. So excuse me while I move this. Right. If you're on the floor and doing this, it's good to use something that is going to keep your back arched. You can do it with a towel. Just roll it up gently. You don't have to have this under your back. It's just very, very helpful to do so. And what we're going to do is use some weights to press up and down. I'm going to show you the position on the floor first of all. What I'll be doing here, I hope you can see me, yes you can. Just arching my back a little bit so that when I start to do this movement, I'm not going to be moving my back. So much of this is protecting the bits that we don't want to move, but also isolating the muscle that we do want to move. And so if we're doing a chest press, we want all the pressure to be on here. Okay, so you can do it on the floor. And if you don't have one of these, which I'll send you the link to after to get one, they're very cheap, but they're quite useful. The sit-ups as well. But you can put a little towel under there. It just keeps your back arched. But in an ideal world, you have something you can lean on. Just because it's easier, it's more stable. And what we're going to do is take the weights, and I'll just get my weights ready. And there's a few things, again, that are important to know about chest press. Okay. There's other little things that I'm doing, which, you know, you pick up after training for years in terms of moving the weights about safely. So you can see I've got them resting on my legs here. And as I lay down, you know, it's only once I lay down that I pick the weights up, things like that. So you've got to be a bit careful about picking up the weights. I'll show you here, assuming you've either got body weight, no weights in your hands, or alternatively you've got bottles, but the principle is the same. I've got these at the moment almost directly over my sort of boobs, nipple area, and you want to come down slowly to about there. So if you see what my elbows are doing, they're sort of parallel to my body. What they're not doing is going any further. Now if you're on the floor, they can't, but on a bench they really could. And then you're starting to put pressure on your shoulders, and you don't want that. So what we do want is just literally be coming down like that, and then pressing up. And that's why it's a press. And we're going to do 10. And when we're going up, we want to really squeeze our pec muscles, so our chest muscles. We want to squeeze them. And then again, it's the same principle, lengthen them. Lengthen and up. Lengthen and squeeze. Lengthen and squeeze. Just going to do it with bottles, just to show you, in case you're doing it that way. And I wanted to show you what we're doing here. We're sort of doing that. Imagine you're lying down, but you're doing that. And you're squeezing, really squeezing here. See these little bits here? These bits, these are what you're squeezing. So you're squeezing and you're down. Squeezing and down. Then lie down again. And now if you're ready, however you're doing it, let's do 10. Arch your back. Start up straight. Now, you know, if you were in a gym, they'd probably give you a strong. They would be giving you a bar with much heavier weight. But this is a great way to start. And you're coming down, and you're lengthening that chest muscle, and now you're really squeezing it as you push up. And you're coming down. You're not touching your chest like that. It's up to about there, and you're pushing up. So we're going to do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can see I'm not moving anything else in my body except for these, and the only thing I'm concentrating on is these pec muscles. And obviously when there's a lot of weight, you can't really talk very much because you've got to concentrate. And that's the other thing, is, you know, if you can do this and chat away, you're not training hard enough. So you really want to be doing full focus on the muscle that you're working. So much of this is about mentally, like everything, you know, I said to you about you get what you focus on. So when you're working on that muscle, you're focusing on, I want to grow that muscle. Mentally, you're only thinking about that muscle. You're not thinking about the weights. You're not thinking about really what you look like. You've obviously got your technique done, and then you're thinking, I want that muscle to grow. Push it, you know, shorten it, lengthen it. Push it, lengthen it. And that's how you think about training. Same as this, when we were doing that, you're thinking about that muscle. I want that muscle to grow. I want it to get stronger. Same as these. So every single movement you're doing, it's not like, oh, let me just get through these 6 movements and let me finish. You know, it's so much more mental, that it's almost like a meditation in a way, that you, each muscle, you can think, okay, I'm going to get you now, I'm going to make you grow. And you focus on that muscle, and you do it really intensely, really slowly, under pressure, as much weight as you can, 10 reps. That's one great set. So I'm trying to get through all the body. So we would normally do 3 sets of that. And when we speed up and we do our next workouts, we'll start to do the same routine. Obviously, you'll have questions, I imagine, but if you practice this a couple of times, next week, I imagine we'll get through more because we'll be able to speed through a bit more. So we've done, as I said before, body parts. We've still got this area. We've still got all of our arms. So I would suggest now that we get onto shoulders and arms, because there's 3 or 4 exercises that I want to show you. We'll start with the top of our shoulders, and it's very easy to do, just doing that. Move this up a little bit. So I'm going to use these weights. You can use the bottles, or you don't have to use weight at all. It's totally up to you. It's down a little bit. But what I'd suggest, get the weights here. They mustn't come down and touch your shoulder, but you want to start like this. Okay, now, a few things. My shoulders currently are back and down. What I mean by that is these bits here, are down as much as I can put them. My shoulder blades, imagine I'm trying to put right down here in my pocket. They're back and down. My shoulders here, back and down. You'll hear me say shoulders back and down so many times you'll get fed up with it. Back and down. Because if not, I'll be actually working the wrong thing. I won't be isolating the shoulders. So back and down first of all. Once they're back and down, now I'm going to be able to work these bits of the shoulder, which is what we want. So back and down, stand, legs apart, probably about hip width apart is nearly always right. Sitting down, hip width apart, shoulders back and down. And then very slowly, we're going to come up, which you can see me all. And then we're going to come down. Now you might think it's a bit wonky. I think we're all a bit sort of wonky. I certainly am. So, but your mission is to try and make it as straight as possible. So 10, 1, and slowly like that. And if your shoulders are back and down, and you're doing this slowly, and you're not popping it onto your shoulder like that, you're just getting it to there, you start to really feel it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, shoulders back and down, 8, 9, and 10. Now, that's a lovely set to do. You can start to feel the top of your shoulders. Because these are smaller muscles and smaller weights, we can get straight into the next. Now we're working down the arm, we're working this part, it's called the delts, and we do that this way. So we're bending over, see my body there? Slight bend in the hip, slight bend in the knee, but not too much, but like that. And we've got these hanging down at the moment, just flopping down, these weights. And imagine strings are pulling our elbow out, and we're going like that with our arms straight. Like this. So it's almost like some strings are pulling my elbows, but I'm not going like that. I'm going like that. Now, let's do 10 of those, and you'll feel it in the sides of your arms, your delts. So go. 1, slowly. 2, 3. Keep your back still. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the trick is not to move anything else. 10. So you've done 10 for this, 10 for this. Now we want 10 for the biceps. It's the same weight. Start like that. A little bit bent over again like that. You can do these sitting as well, but I like standing because it's the same sort of movement. You've got your arms down straight. Now, really important with these, really important, is that we don't do that. I'm going to put the weights down and show you. What I see in the gym so much is guys, I'm sorry guys, particularly guys, but women as well, they pick up the heaviest weights they can and they get them like that and they go like that, and they go like that, and it's doing nothing. It really isn't. Whereas if they were to pick a lower weight up, keep this arm still, pinned almost to the side of their body, and just do that and squeeze that muscle wince up as if there's almost a piece of paper they're trying to catch there, and slowly lengthen it down and then squeeze it up again, hard as they can, with a piece of paper almost there, lengthen it down straight. So squeeze tightly, thinking about that muscle, lengthening it down. Do that with a lighter weight, and it will grow this muscle so much better than with a heavier weight doing that. Okay, so we're going to do 10 of those with a light weight. We'll start like this, and off we go. So this is how it looks. 1, very slowly. 2, 3, we're squeezing the muscle. 4, 5, squeeze it. 6, squeeze the muscle. 7, 8, 9, 10, and squeeze it. You know what I like doing as well is at the end, I just like holding it like that, parallel, and count to a final 10, because now the muscle should start to burn. You've done 10 already, you can really feel it, and you hold it for 10, and that muscle is starting to burn, and that's great, because as it's burning like that in the right position, the little tiny muscle fibers are starting to break, and because they break, you start to feel it burn. When you recover, what's going to happen is, as long as you eat enough protein, it will go into them and it will grow them. And then finally, the last bit of your arm is this bit which notoriously we're not careful, is where body fat goes. And so it's a combination really of keeping our body fat low, but also working this muscle. And the way to do this, it's good to lay down and do this one, but I'll show you, because we're standing up first of all. It's almost like an upside down bicep curl. So you're up like this, and you're sort of going down like that, like this, and then you're bringing it up like that, and bringing it up. Another way of doing that actually is lying down. So back on the bench or on the floor, as I showed you, have the weights. This is, I prefer doing triceps like this, the back of the arms. You lay down. And the same thing again, very straight. We're thinking about the muscle we're working, which is the back of the arm now. And we're going to go down like an upside down bicep curl. And we slowly pull it up. And this by far is the best way, because it protects everything else. And you're only feeling the pressure on the back of the arm. So if you're in position and you're lying down, and you've got weights or bottles or no body weight, or you're on the floor on a bench, we're going to do this now, 10 of these, so you can feel it. So sort of put your arms back a little bit, so it's not exactly upright, it's more like that. They're about shoulder width apart, your arms, and you slowly then come down. And you want these to touch your shoulders like that, and then come back up. So 2, 3, and you're thinking of those triceps, you can feel them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that gets your arm. So we've done all 4 parts of the arm. And the only bit we've got left now is this area. But also bear in mind that all the work that we do is getting everywhere anyway. A bit like I told you with body fat. It goes on everywhere and you can't really pick it. But it also comes off everywhere and you can't really pick that either. The great thing about your midriff is the more you do everything, the more it just gets this core, especially if you do it the way I've described, where you've got your back solid, you know, you do all the movements under control, you're going to get your midriff. But we're going to do a few abs crunches now. What I'd say about abs, and everyone wants abs, is that they will only be visible if you're super lean. So you have to get all your body fat down to be able to see them. And when you do see them, you want them to pop. And the only way they'll pop is if you work them. But you still only see, you've all got them, we've all got them, but we only see them when we're super lean, and 2, when we're breathing out really, really intently. But it's really great whether you want abs or not to have a strong core, because if you have a strong core, it also protects your back, and it makes everything else you do so easy. It just makes you feel so much stronger and lighter. So we'll start off with, we'll do 4 ab exercises, we've got time. We'll do normal crunches, we'll do some side planks, and we'll do a front plank. So it's effectively that we do this bit, then this bit, and then this bit, okay? Then we've done the whole midriff area. So we'll start off with some simple crunches. We're going to use this thing again. So, or the towel, if that's what you have. We'll position it like this. And you want to tap it onto your tailbone really, so you know that if you've got your towel or your pad, you just tapped it there. And then you want to lie down, put your hands across your chest, your legs are hip width apart again, like this. If you can see me, yes you can. And then you're going to blow the air out. Now this is a critical point. More than anything is as you come up, just before, you blow out all the air. And as you blow out all the air, your ab muscles contract tightly, and then you crunch, and that's when you feel it. If you're full of air, you can't get to the abs. So to make it difficult, upper and lower abs, you've got to blow the air out. So in position, I'm going to sort of exaggerate the air blowing, so excuse me for that. So blow, and then crunch. Oh, like that. And down. Blow, and then crunch. And again. And I'm really squeezing, really, really hard, with no air in, so I can hardly speak. There, 6. So that's 10, and they're really squeezed. And that is hard if you're blowing the air out. After that, we'll do side plank. I imagine most of you have done this, and normally speaking, we would do it for about 45 seconds, and we've got time to do that. So let's do a 45-second side plank. If you can, both feet on the floor, on your elbow, and just go up. Try and keep your hips down. And do it for as long as you can. It doesn't have to be 45 seconds. But we'll have a go. And what you're getting here, and you try and squeeze your bum, try and squeeze your body, try and keep it tight. So we've done 20 seconds. And you're getting this part, your obliques. So you know you want those nice side lines. This is what this gets. You've got 10 seconds to go. Give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's one side.
Angela,
Yeah.
I couldn't even lift myself off the floor at all.
Yeah.
So what do I start with?
Yeah, I mean, you start with trying to get up 1 second and congratulate yourself. You know, that's really all. Then it's 2 seconds, then it's 3, then it's 4. And as I said, the body is an amazing thing in the same way that I really was not a runner, couldn't run at all. You know, and then I ran a marathon. And you sort of walk in that case, you walk for a minute, you do a run walk. You run for half a minute, you walk for, and that's how it starts. And it's exactly the same with all of this. You know, you're seeing me almost 4 years into training and having done a lot of cardio and stuff of that nature. And so planks are sort of normal to me, but you know, 1 second after none is something to congratulate yourself on. And what you'll find as well is it all works together, because as you get stronger elsewhere and as the body fat starts to reduce, this is for all of us, doing these types of things gets so much easier. So 1 second will be brilliant, just as well as, you know, really, where for the period of time I've been doing it, quite frankly, I should be doing more than 45, but I still find that a challenge as well. So let's do this side. As long as you possibly can, let's go. Oh. And also what we find is it's harder on one side than the other. We're all sort of strong on one side than the other. And the other thing I'd say with this is, you know, you don't have to do it all in one go. So like if you're doing 5 or 10 and you want to sort of go, oh, give yourself a quick second up, down, and then back up again. You know, it doesn't matter. It's like not an endurance test. No one's judging you. You're really improving yourself and yourself only. So, you know, you just do as much as you can, knowing that that's more than the day before. And, you know, even if it is a second, like that, you know, that's better than not even trying. And this is how we have to be thinking about progressive overload, is it's just we literally do as much as we can and a tiny bit more. And that is the process of building muscle. It really is nothing more than that. It's putting it under a little tiny bit more pressure every single day, whether that is an extra rep, a slower speed, or when you've got all of that down, then a higher weight. Finally, because I just want to give a quick 5 minutes to chat, you would do the usual plank and try and do that for a minute. So let's just finish off with that. And again, on my elbows, I've got them shoulder width apart. I'm trying to keep my bum down. I'm on my toes. I'm squeezing everything. It's hard. And that's what we want as a finisher, really. We call it a finisher. It's hard, it makes you sweat. You don't want to do it. But you do it. And then you go on about your day. And that's the end of it. But we've literally got only another 30 seconds of this workout. And I really hope that it's been what I wanted it to be, which is a learning exercise, just in the same way that we've been learning so much about food and macros. And you've learned an enormous amount, I can just see by how you're recording stuff. 10 more seconds. And we need to do the same with training. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we need to do the same with training. And, you know, it's not an overnight skill, which is why people don't walk about with six packs, they don't walk about, you know, in shape, because they don't have the sorts of skills that I really, really hope I'm able to impart to you guys. Because what we've been doing this week has been really tough when you very first start, you know, getting introduced to a completely new way. And your brain wants to tell you, this is too hard, this is too much, this is too complicated, blah, 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 blah. That's what our brain wants to tell us. But, you know, I can just tell you that it works, and it's very healthy, and it's a way of giving you skills for life. So rather than me give you a quick fix to make you much slimmer, let's say, and smaller in size in 12 weeks, I want you to achieve that, but knowing exactly how you achieved it, understanding the mechanism, so that you can go on and do this forever and actually share it with your other, you know, people you love as well. So it is a big, steep learning curve to start off with, the food side, but so is the training. But what I think I've been able to do with the people that I've done it with so far is to teach them in a broken down fashion, like we've just done with the training, so that you understand what we're trying to do. We've done a complete body workout. We've only done 1 round of each. And normally I do 2 or 3, as you saw on the board. But there's no point in hurtling through the volume, you know, and reps and sets and heavy weights if you're not doing the correct technique. So in the same way that I wanted to teach you about macros, I want to teach you about the technique for training. Then we'll have no injuries, because the last thing we want is an injury. Once you have an injury, it's going to put you back, you won't be able to train. So we want you to go really, really slowly, learn the technique, practice it, and then basically we'll start to speed it up and you'll start to see your training results as well. But these are skills for life, as I say. These are things that are going to take you on forever and ever. And I don't know if any of you saw my post with the lady Ernestine Shepherd. She's 84 years old. I think she started training when she was in her 50s, 56 I think she was. And she's 84, and so she's a superstar. You know, the way she looks at 84 is amazing. She's a bodybuilder. But she just looks super, and she's strong, you know, and walks for miles and things like that. And I think ultimately that's what we want. We want longevity. So I'm going to leave it like that now. There's many other variations on those exercises, but for working out from home, those are probably the most basic, and it is the way to get every part of your body and start to make some progress. So if there's any more last minute questions, fire away.
Angela,
Yeah.
you were going to discuss how to get a well-balanced diet for the day.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you how I do it. Now, again, a little bit, I'm glad you asked that question, yeah, because, you know, I do have a food plan, and Rita Barrage is going to post it after this, I think, Rita, aren't you? But what I didn't want to do right away, again, in keeping with my principles of I want to be teaching skills for life, I didn't want to just say to you, eat that. The easiest thing for me, and for these, you know, meal plans that you can buy online, is obviously for me not to do all of this and be talking to you every 5 minutes. The easiest thing for me to say will be eat that, just eat that, and I'll see you next week. Because of course I know that if you just were to eat that, then basically you'd lose weight. But you know, what I also know is that even with the most disciplined mind, you know, you're not going to want to do that. You're not going to want to eat what I'm about to tell you day in, day out, forever, if you want to lead any sort of semblance of an enjoyable life, you know, a networked life, a sociable life, and, you know, if you want to enjoy everything in life in terms of food and interaction with others and restaurants where we can go out again, and people's homes. So that's why I'm so keen to teach you a way of eating and choosing your foods. Having said that, it's really nice to have a fallback position. And so now you are where you are, where you've got a much better understanding, I'm much happier to share a food plan with you than I would have been at the beginning. But to tell you the food plan, which is a fallback for me, and I'll just tell you what I eat really mainly during the day. The first thing I do after I've, you know, woken up and weighed myself, etc., I'll drink some water with some lemon in, and then I'll have bulletproof coffee. So it's black coffee. I put 10 mils of ghee, 10 mils of MCT oil, and a couple of scoops of collagen protein, 25 grams it comes to a protein. So I have that while I'm doing all my writing and journaling, and we haven't even come to that part of it yet, but we're going to do a lot more on business when we do our Zoom call next week. So I've had that already. So that means I've already had some protein, I've already had some good fats, but I've had no carbs at this point. I then go and do my walk. I do my podcasts listening, my audio listening, whatever it is. I've already done the meditation before I go out. I come back and I'll make a green juice. I'll save the pulp, as you know, but I'll drink the juice of, you know, mainly vegetables with a couple of fruits in just for sweetness, and some ginger and maybe a herb or some mint or something like that. And then I'll have 2 eggs. If I'm cutting and I've got a target to hit, which is where I am now because I've got this photo shoot coming up, and I want to do this with you guys, I won't have any sourdough bread or anything. But if I was just trying to build, so bulking as we call it, where I'm trying to build muscle, then you have to sort of, if you're trying to build muscle, you have to allow a bit more fat to go on. And so then I would probably have the eggs with some fried bread or something like that. But as it is at the moment with cutting, I'll have the eggs, I might have some broccoli with it, but just the eggs. Then get about doing some work. And then once I start to feel hungry, which tends to be 10:30, 11, I'll just have a zero fat Greek yogurt, about 200 grams, have some berries and some almonds or some walnuts with it. Not many nuts, probably 15, 20 grams, something like that. We'll write this down for you because there are alternatives if you're vegan or if you're vegetarian. I think we've got one vegan here and a couple of vegetarian, but there's alternatives for it. Although a lot of what I have, you know, would suit vegetarian certainly. For lunch, I will have chicken, salad, although yesterday, suddenly, you know, sometimes I feel like I want high carbs. So yesterday I had a really high carb day. And for lunch, I had some beans, some cheese on toast. So, once you know how to do this, you can do that sort of thing. But usually speaking, the last few days prior to that, I've just had some sliced chicken and all sorts of vegetables, whatever I happen to have there. Then in the afternoon, if I want something else, I'll probably repeat and have the same sort of yogurt arrangement. Maybe I might have an apple or something like that. I might have a piece of cheese, depends sort of how I feel. And then I will have dinner, and dinner is nearly always something like steak, chicken, salmon, turkey. I'll always mix in the vegetables from the juice that I've had that morning. I'll probably have some sweet potato. I might have some brown and white rice. That's really about it for dinner. And then I'll have a little look and I'll say, right, what macros have I got left? Now, if I've had anything else during the day, this, what I've described to you is left space for that. So if suddenly, I've decided that I want something, someone's brought something naughty in, or, I just feel a bit hungry and I want something else, then I would have left space with that meal plan to have accommodated that. And I'll get to the end of the day and I'll think, right, well, I've used the macros, and maybe I'm a little bit over, a little bit under, I'm going to leave it. But alternatively, if I've just followed that food plan, after dinner, it'll get to about 8 o'clock and I've got some carbs left, I might have some protein needs still, and that's when I'll have a shake. So then I'll have, depending on the macros left, I might put some oats in if I need carbs, put some berries, some almond milk, mix it up with some water, put some protein in, and that will take me up to the protein level. The thing that I didn't mention actually is after workout. So obviously we've just done a bit of a workout here. I'm going to go up now and I'll just have my eggs. I'm not going to have a protein shake because I've got some plans later in the day. I know I'm going to have plenty of protein. If I need to make that extra protein up, I sooner do it in a shake at the very end of the day. This sort of theory that, wow, we've worked our muscles, we must get some protein straight into us. I think if you already know you're going to eat some protein shortly within the next hour, you don't have to down a protein shake. It's really, if you're on the move, you're coming out of the gym, you've got 4 meetings ahead of you, you can't have the time to sit, or the facilities to sit down and eat the chicken breast or some eggs, that's when you drink a protein shake. But as we are at the moment working from home, we can sort out our food, and I prefer to have a shake if I need it at the end of the day, and into that will go all the missing macros just to bring me up to the right level. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And we'll send that out, we'll post that out on Facebook so that everybody can see it. So at least you have a fallback position for days where you're not sure. But my daughter Annabelle was saying to me the other day, oh, have you got any dinner inspirations? I don't know what to have. And I said, I said you could have burger with no bun and a slice of cheese on it and loads of salad. You could have some chicken and vegetables with maybe some sweet potato. You could have some salmon and vegetables, maybe put some rice in. You could have, I listed a whole load of things. And she said, oh, yeah, that sounds really great. I think I'll have the burgers. And she said to me after, she was really pleased. She said, oh, I had 2 burgers, still within my macros, and loads of salad. And while I was talking to her, I thought, well, I'm going to have that. So I had it too. So, when you've got flexibility like that, it's quite nice to be able to do it. The other thing that I wanted to mention, just to finish off, is what to do when you get to the end of the week. Many of you have had really, really good weeks, but, a lot of us have had ups and downs. We've lost weight, we've put it on, we've lost weight. This is what happens when you're on this type of journey. Your body does funny things, and sometimes it just holds on to stuff for a couple of days. And you think, how can that be? I did loads of steps, was really low with my calories, great with my macros. Why is it holding on? And suddenly, a couple of days later, bang, it drops. And sometimes, you just need to go to the loo a couple of times and things like that, and your body all starts to sort of work. So this is why we take a weekly average of your weight, because you can't really track your progress just based on one day. So that's why it's so important. We take the 7 weights, we divide it by 7, and that will be your average weight for this week 1. And the other thing to do at the end of the week, as you've seen me post, if you've managed to have a look yet, is you get to Saturday morning, I do, and I go, right, well, where am I for the week? How far I'm under my weekly calorie goal? And that's why my fitness now is so great, because it says to you, okay, well, you've got for the rest of the week 2,500 to 3,000 calories, whatever it tells you, and you think, right, okay. And it says, this is where you are with your macro split. So what I can see is that I'm a little bit low on protein, only a tiny bit, a little bit high on carbs. I'm not too worried about that. But my fat's a bit high. So I'm going to, for the next couple of days, I probably won't have the oil in the bulletproof, certainly not tomorrow. I had less today. And I'll just cut the fats out a little bit. And so my aim is to finish Sunday, because I've become very focused on it. You know, when I'm on it, I'm on it. My aim is the end of this week to be more or less exactly where I wanted to be. But, you know, you can tidy up. It doesn't mean to say you've got to be rigid every single day. Yesterday for me was a high carb day. No harm done. Feel nice and strong. And I can just sort of modify it a little bit for the rest of the couple of days and get to where I want to be by the end of Sunday. So that's why it's so great to have the freedom to pick and choose as you wish. But having the fallback position of a meal plan is good too.
Okay, so I was thinking if you go over on if you see that you're really over on a day, you wouldn't just do more exercise.
No, because as I said at the beginning, actually the point of the exercise, yes, you want to use your energy, and yes, it does help, but I like to keep that, the way I've been taught and the way it's worked for me is to keep that to one side. We want to use the exercise to strengthen and move the body. So all the steps is to use energy and to move the body and to help with our mindset. This workout that I've just shown you is to strengthen our muscles. We use the diet and the food to control our fat loss. And so this is why I don't like with MyFitnessPal when there's a little setting there, if you're not careful, I think it defaults to on, where say for example you want to have 1500 calories and it will say, oh, but you've done an hour of exercise and you've done 10,000 steps, so we're going to give you another 100 calories. No, we don't want that. You know, we've already factored in that we're doing 10,000 steps minimum and the workout. So click that setting to off. I showed the app how to do it. I posted it on the Facebook page. You go to goals, settings, and it says something like, do you want to adjust your calories or steps? And you click no. So make sure it doesn't do that. And no, let's control the weight and the fat loss with our diet. And let's make sure that we have the correct amount of carbs and protein and calorie levels to stay strong. And that's what we do with diet. And that's how we change our body composition. So that, because what we don't want to do is get to a point where we're having so few calories and macros that we end up these little weak versions of ourselves. And people may say, great, congratulations, you've lost weight, but you feel terrible. What we want to do is change your body composition so you're nice and strong, so you live many, many years ahead, and that you've got this lovely muscular shape. And, you know, you don't have to go very strong on muscle, very heavy on muscle building, but you want a fit physique, I think. And to have that, you've got to do that with diet. And then after that, in terms of energy, we do the walking and we do the workouts to build our muscles. So I think if we can try and keep the two separate, then, you know, it's just simpler.
Got it. Okay. Can I also ask with the workouts, when you said on your board there, 1, 2, 3, are you doing that all in the same workout session, or are you doing like a morning session, afternoon session?
So this would be, no, all in the same session. And so what you would have seen here, I did 2 lots of quads, 2 chest, 2 hamstrings, 3 back, 2 glutes, 2 shoulders, 1 biceps, 1 triceps. Obviously didn't do abs. So that's just one example of a workout. You know, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Did 16 sets. It's actually quite a big workout. Maybe I did do abs and didn't write it down, because I tend to try and do 18 sets, which is on average, it's 6 exercises times 3. So for me, you know, that's what I'm trying to do usually, is 18, between 16 and 20. But we can start to do refinements of that as we go on. I think the important thing to take away from today is, number 1, body parts, of which there are 6, and you want to work more. And number 2 is, when you are working that particular muscle, focus on that muscle, focus on technique, do it slowly and in a controlled fashion, protecting everything else by staying rigid everywhere else. And that then is going to start to make progress. And I think if you can take that away today, apply that a couple more times if you want to have this on, and then we can sort of start to do modifications, and we can do a slightly faster workout next week. I can show you some more things. All right. So
Thanks,
I think we'll leave it there. Okay, lovely to see you all. Thanks very much for all your engagement. I know it's not easy, but I promise you it's worth it. Okay.
Thank you.
See you later. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.